a couple of seconds.
You can start, Eileen.
Okay, good afternoon to all my parents, my students, my friends, my family, incoming students, my present students, and just about anybody that really is interested in maybe some ways I can offer on how we can minimize some fatigue in students that are going to school all day online. I'm not going to profess to be the authority on the subject, but I do have some thoughts, and I do want to share with you some of the things that might be of use. Okay. I think we've also got major issues with families about students that are experiencing eye strain. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind is we're adjusting to online learning, whether we have eyes that do require glasses or don't. And it is causing eye strain to all of us. And I would like to share that many parents and teachers and educators are wondering why this is happening. So, you know, we think about, well, why all of a sudden is my child getting eye strain when he uses the device all year, plays the games, and never had the problem in the first place? Well, I'd like to try to explain that and maybe provide some possible solutions. I also invite anybody that has any questions or comments, please. I love feedback, and that's how I thrive. If you want to interrupt with a question or comment or agree or disagree with me, please do so. Otherwise, I'm just going to be talking, but I do venture to get all kinds of comments and maybe solutions. And you know, I learn every day, so your questions and your comments are very helpful. When a student is on the screen too long and has visual fatigue, it can lead to eye strain, headaches, blurred vision, and other symptoms. Not only is it uncomfortable, but we certainly don't want any long-term health problems from this. And we also don't understand why all of a sudden we're seeing this for the first time, because wait, my student has been gaming for a while. My student's on video games. Why all of a sudden now? I'm going to offer some factors that may contribute to this problem. I'm going to say that even though the student has probably been using the same device successfully in the school environment and in the evenings when they're gaming or playing video games, we are now on the screen doing mental exercises, and the device and how they're using the device has probably changed. So remember, when a student is gaming or giving time that they want to do it, it's not always challenging in the sense that we have a bunch of students learning at the same time, or they have to pay attention to what they're thinking, feeling, writing at the same time. So for example, many schools suggest that students engage in schoolwork only at specific times. If that time in the morning lasts for 3 hours without a break, I'm going to venture that a student is likely spending too much uninterrupted time in front of a screen. Staring at words, staring at visuals that they've never had to do before. So during the school day, visual tasks are naturally broken up as the student takes in visual breaks while participating in instruction. So examples of taking visual breaks may include listening to the teacher without the need to read or write, engaging in class conversations, moving between classes, and taking stretch or bathroom breaks in between these long 3-hour sessions, or any other activities that take place in the school environment. Whether or not it's intentional, the student is actually taking a break from visual tasks, which might cause visual fatigue. When a student says, I need to get up, I need to ask my mom something, I need to get up, go to the bathroom, I need to grab something from the refrigerator, they are taking visual fatigue breaks. So likewise, homework in the evening may be broken up when they're actually looking again at the screen by dinner breaks, family time, or other activities that allow the student to have time away from visual tasks. I'm also going to suggest that perhaps to minimize visual time, that instead of looking at a screen, that we may want to print material so the student actually has pen, paper in hand without actually engaging or using the screen to do homework. Any questions or concerns from anybody that you want to consider giving an opinion for right about now? Okay. So look at it from the school or the educator's point of view. Aside from needing to cram 6 hours worth of education into a 3-hour time frame, the equipment that teachers and educators are using may be contributing to this issue in the first place. So if your student is using a Chromebook, a video magnifier, or an iPad, which may have been working well for him or her while school was in session, it may not meet the needs of the student for longer term use. Like, we may be meeting online as a school district from September all the way to May, or we may be meeting as a school district from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The light emitting from the screen may be too much for those who are sensitive to glare and bright lights. Plus, the resolution on the screen may not be as clear as units being used in the classroom. So the lighting in the home may also be harder to adjust. So the student may be doing schoolwork in bright light that makes reading the screen even more difficult. The opposite could also be true. So quite a bit depends on the needs of the student and the environment. I'm going to offer an educator's opinion, my own personal opinion right about now. I find that engaging with text is better when a student has a book in their hand. If a student is reading curriculum reading, I would suggest that you don't download it on the screen because the text does not always give you page numbers. Like when we're talking about the Kindle, I would suggest buying the book. Why? It's the good old-fashioned way. It's writing in the book, it's getting a relationship with the book, and actually you're minimizing visual time. You're reading a book which has different properties for your eyes than it does looking at a screen. Anybody out there agree, disagree, have any comments on this subject? Okay. So I trust that you'll ping me if you do have a question. Okay. What I'm going to say is a lot depends on the needs of the student and the environment in which they're learning. I also want to say that certainly, but not lastly, screen time plays a huge role in the entertainment for students while they are spending more and more time in the house. So not only do we have the needs of the student learning educationally, but it's still our only means right now of entertainment. We are watching things on Netflix, on HBO. We're playing games. We're doing solitaire online. We're doing board games online. We're learning, we have extracurricular activities online. For heaven's sakes, we are doing everything online because it is not safe not to. Yes, your student can play outside, but we still have limited access to parks or play areas where they can socialize with peers and run around for a long period of time. And usually when a child is of a certain age, the parent wants to accompany that child or get a babysitter. And in our busy day-to-day worlds, we don't always have that time. So if they do go to the park at least once a day or play in the backyard, it's very limited. Using screens for 3 hours of education and then attempting to have fun while in front of a screen may cause additional visual fatigue. It just makes sense that way. So I came up with some ideas that I think may work. I think a student should break up visually demanding tasks. I think the amount of time a student participates on online learning before experienced symptoms may vary, but we don't want to wait till the symptoms show, excuse me. Additionally, some days the student may have a few visual challenges, and the next day they may be more prevalent. Maybe the student has a test that they're taking online. But providing breaks away from tasks may cause visual fatigue. It could be helpful. I think from 10 to 15 minutes every hour is a common accommodation, but the student may need more or less break time. So I think that's fair. Get something to eat, take a walk, even exercise your muscles, which are you're sitting down or you know, we have the way to stand. We have stand techniques to use when we're doing, when we're on the screen. But just getting your body to move and just taking that break may be helpful. I think we should also darken the study area and control the amount of light entering it. A popular method to use curtains to cut off light sources and turn off overhead lighting, and that may make screens easier to see. Maybe if needed, bring a lamp to provide task lighting that the student can control. The lamp may be pretty inexpensive and it could act as a multi-purpose tight lighting solution. Any questions so far? Any comments? I'm checking to see if there's any questions or comments. Okay, no questions. I think adjusting the brightness of the monitor the student is using may be helpful if your student is in fact using a monitor. Some students I've seen have light sensitivity and they prefer a lower brightness setting, while others may prefer increased brightness. I think you and your student, when you're not online, need to experiment. The method of adjusting the brightness may vary from unit to unit. I think most laptops use the function keys along with the top of the keyboard to access common settings, such as brightness, volume, and MIC and mic settings. I think if you're using an external monitor, you might want to consult your owner's manual and find out how to minimize eye strain and acute eye fatigue. Any questions, comments? Okay. If you have a television or a computer laptop that allows HDMI input, you might want to consider connecting your student's laptop to that larger screen TV. This may be really helpful when the student needs to see details in a picture, graph, video, or other media that does not appear large enough on the screen or the laptop monitor. So it's actually coming on the television set, which might be fun and cool anyway. So if text input is needed, setting a table up near the TV that is displaying the computer content while allowing the student to sit close enough to see may help them or him or her and may ease visual fatigue. It'll also make it cool because and what they're doing is on TV. This method may not work for some students who have difficulty keeping attention away from their keyboard while typing or shifting gaze, but it may also require a bit of practice so the student can adjust to this method. Again, we experiment, we make mistakes. We're going to be on online learning for a while. We need to embrace it and we need to see what works best for us. I'm going to be checking to see if there's any questions. Okay. It's relatively simple to enable accessibility settings for students with low vision. So some examples include turning on reverse contrast, increasing dynamic text size, or increasing screen resolution. Following are some, I can offer, if anybody is interested in some articles that are containing information on how to do this on popular computer platforms. So if you're interested in this method for your child, I'd be very happy to email you and let you know. I think also we need to take advantage of apps or programs which allow the student to listen to content rather than visually read it. Sometimes the auditory part is a lot better than just visually looking at something. So it is true that your student may not have needed to use this method before, But again, they have not been faced with being on screens for such a long period of time. But because we are relying on screen-based instruction and reading text, hopefully from a book, or using a video magnifier or presented on a laptop screen, we may have to take this next step and consider it to be necessary. I think what we're trying to say here is that because we're going to be on the screen for long periods of time, we need to find ways that actually work for us. And I think, again, as parents, we need to model what we want our kids to do for ourselves. Okay. So the first thing is we want to familiarize ourselves and listen to the experts. We want to obviously model good habits in front of our kids on how we take breaks, we get up and move around, and we create a lightning environment that's comfortable for our eyes. I think what I like to say is we want to create a bedtime for devices. When they're shut down, they can't be used, and we put them to bed until the next day. That is not time that we can use on our screen. It's done for the day, and every family sets their own bedtime for their screens. I think it's the 20-20-20 rule. 20 minutes of screen time, 20 minutes of focusing on the screen, and maybe 20 minutes or 15 minutes of just shutting down, moving on, and trying something else. Better for the physical body, better for the eyes. I think also we need to blink, close our eyes and not just stare at the screen, but actually blink. So what does blinking do? It actually lubricates our eyes, and it's also going to take the focus off. I think we need to teach our kids about positioning and posture. So too many times, not only do we get eye strain, but we get neck strain. And what that means is our child is sitting incorrectly in the chair, putting pressure on their neck, putting pressure on their shoulders, and not getting up and moving around. So we need to talk about the importance of positioning, especially now that we're face-to-face with our desks and our screens every day. I think once again also, we need to check the brightness of our screens. And again, I'd like to leave you with increasing the text size on our screens. I'm checking to see if we have any questions, which I don't think we have. So, so I just, again, want to say thank you for anybody that has been listening to me. I'm welcoming any questions because we're probably going to sign off soon. And again, like everything else, we adjust. I do want to say that anybody that wants to venture out there and ask me a question, we will get your name and you will get 30 minutes of a writing session with me. So if that is not a good bait and a good carrot to get you to ask me a question, I don't know what is. So 3 winners will get 30 minutes of a writing course with me on the house from Talent Nook. If you are with me in the audience and you would like to answer a question. And if not, I'm going to leave you with, I'm proud of all of us for embracing this new method. And again, I'm going to give it a couple of minutes and let's see if anybody wants to ask me a question. And then I'd like to sign off and wish everybody well and happy learning. Okay, it looks like our time is up. I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you participated or not. And I will be in touch with you shortly about an upcoming webinar. So be well, be happy, and keep learning. Bye now.